Work out in terms of on the issue price that we have is around
crore rupees at a price of 12.5 rupees per share. 2,000 crore old shares 2,873, which means we are roughly talking about is just give me a moment. I will. The dilution is about 70%. The post-equity dilution that we're talking about is 70%. So roughly, just to put it on the table now, Vodafone Idea is going to do a rights issue. The rights issue is to the size of 25,000 crore rupees. The rights issue price is at 12.5 rupees per share, a rough discount of 60% to yesterday's closing price. And the post-equity dilution that we're talking about is nearly 70%. So that is a massive dilution that Vodafone Idea will have to entail to raise that 25,000 crore rupees. There are a couple of questions still. Despite the price being so steep, the discount being so steep, will the minority shareholders still tender? The reason we put that on the board is, I think if we have the graphics, if you remember, some of the QIP that Vodafone Idea had done in the past was in much higher levels. So in February of 2018, Vodafone Idea had raised 3,500 rupees at a price of 82.5 rupees. They had also raised money from the promoters at 99. In 2014, 5 years ago, the company had raised at 134 rupees. So a lot of investors are stuck at a very high price. We're talking about levels of 82.5 and 134 rupees per share. So they have seen a lot of wealth destruction. I know the price is much, steep, much cheaper now at 12.5 rupees. But even then, at a time when the competitive pressure has not eased in the industry, will they still put in that money? And secondly, the promoters have already made a commitment. Now, they've said that out of, the 25,000 crore rupees, Vodafone Idea will put in 11,000 crore rupees, while Aditya Birla will put in 7,250 crores. So roughly about 18,500 crores are going to come in from the promoters. But even then, they still need to raise $1 billion from the minority shareholders. The reason they've kept such a steep discount is because they want the minority shareholders to also participate in the rights issue and get that money in. Because if they don't, then the promoters will have to, buy the subscribe to the unsubscribed portion, and the headroom available for the promoters to do that is limited because their shareholding already stands at 71.3%. So they can't mop up too much of the shares without breaching the SEBI limit of 75%, which is why I think Vodafone Idea had to, come out with a price of 12.5. But it also gives you a sense of the desperation to some extent, right? Even Bharti had to do a huge discount, but that discount was 30%. Here we're talking about a 60%, roughly 60% discount. But let's get in some reactions.
Yeah, I think we have Naveen Kulkarni of Reliance Securities who joins us on the phone line. Naveen, wanted your initial take. The rights issue has been priced at around 12.5 rupees. That would mean a discount of nearly around 60% compared to the current market price. And also in terms of a dilution, back of an envelope suggests that the dilution will be nearly around 65 to around 70% approximately. Your initial reaction?
So there are two ways to look at it. One is from the capital raising point of view. So they needed this much capital, which were to, I would say that, take the business ahead, right? So that was much needed. The second aspect was the instrument that they had to use, which is what eventually they worked on with the rights, right? So from that perspective, for the rights issue to be successful, the price at which it had to be done had to be very, very attractive. So there was no option but to give a steep discount to the current market price for the rights issue to be successful. So from that perspective, we find that the dilution which they are talking about was something which was not an option for the company. But having said that, I believe the rights issue should be successful at this price point.
Okay, so you would recommend that minority shareholders should subscribe to the rights issue at 12.5 rupees per share, and therefore Vodafone Idea will be successful in raising the entire amount of 25,000 crore rupees.
Yeah, so that is the option with the minority shareholders, right? So because if they do not subscribe, then there is the existing shareholding gets diluted significantly. So that's a big challenge. Okay. I think the minority shareholders at 12.5 rupees are more likely to subscribe.
Okay, fine. Just stay on, Naveen. We're also getting Nitin Soni of Fitch Ratings. He's here with us on the phone line. Nitin, as we've been saying, rights issue price 12.5 rupees per share. That's a 60% discount. The post-equity dilution is roughly about 70%. Is it attractive enough for minority shareholders to participate in the rights issue?
Yeah, thanks for having me. As a rating agency, Fitch never comment on whether, investors should subscribe or not. What I can share with you is that we do have a stable outlook on the sector, and this is a necessity for Bharti and Vodafone Idea to raise money at this juncture given their stretched balance sheet. Having said that, we do believe that the average revenue per user or the average tariff in the industry is unsustainably low, and we do expect in 2019 that should rise anywhere by 20% plus, and that should provide some relief to these telcos.
Okay, Naveen, coming back to you. Does it, to some extent, smack a bit of desperation on the part of Vodafone Idea? And what should be the fair value now? Do you see the stock price gravitating lower?
Yeah, in the short term, there will be pressure because the dilution is significant. There is a lot of equity and the amount of shares which get allocated. So close to 2,000 crore shares will be issued through rights, so that's a significant dilution. So there will be short-term, medium-term kind of a challenge. But this kind of equity infusion will strengthen the business. Apart from that, there are inherent strengths in the joint entity, so they will start playing out in the next 1 to 2 years. So more or less, that should start helping the company in creating the value for the shareholders over the longer term. But short term, it's more likely there will be pressure.
Naveen, I just was doing some quick calculation out there. As you said, 2,000 crore shares will be issued. The promoters currently hold nearly around 71% stake in the company. So out of that 2,000 crore shares that are likely to be issued, at best, they can come in there and participate for around 1,540 crore shares. So it's imperative actually that the minority comes in there and subscribes to it. You're not ruling out a possibility when minority doesn't participate, given that the discount is so large, right?
Yes, so there is a very likelihood that the minority will participate because what we saw with Bharti's dilution was also at a significant discount to the current market price. This is at a higher level of discount, but I think the minority shareholders, especially the institutional investors, would have been expecting a sharp discount to the current market price. The 12.5 rupees is still, I would believe, is a surprise. But even then, the expectation was there of a discount of 40 to 50% to the current market price.
What is your rating in the target price on Idea now? And will 25,000 crore of a fundraise be sufficient? The reason we ask is because the company has had multiple rounds of fundraising, and now the fear, and every successive round of fundraising has been at a cheaper price.
Yeah. So the fair value at this juncture will be slightly tricky because all the synergy benefits and the kind of equity which comes in, so we'll have to wait and watch what exactly happens with that. I would reserve my comments on the fair value of the stock at this point in time and on my recommendation of the stock.
Naveen and Nitin, thank you very much for joining in. So that's the view coming in from experts. One, even they're negatively surprised by the extent of the discount offered by the company on the rights issue. But Naveen Kulkarni believes the minority shareholders will participate in the rights issue at 12.5 at that price, and that discount of 60%, it is quite attractive. And if they don't participate, then they risk their stake being diluted further. So it is a catch-22 situation coming in from, for the investors, but he believes they will participate in the rights issue. The minority shareholders, anyway, the promoters have made their commitment. The minority shareholders will participate, which means the company will be able to raise the entire amount, which is a positive for the company. The stock is hovering around at 31 rupees, but it slipped close to about 5% on the back of that big discount, which has come as a bit of a surprise.